had taken advantage of the fertile Nile River basin to build a prosperous civilization. The Hittites, who lived in the desolate wilderness, used iron to build an empire that rivaled that of Egypt. This iron implement was excavated from the site. Let's look at it with an X-ray. Omura believes that the Hittites were the first people in the world to mass-produce iron implements. How did they accomplish that? To find out, Turkish archaeologists recreated an ancient method of producing iron. The base material is iron ore. They break it into small pieces and put it into a furnace. To melt the ore, high temperatures are crucial. They have to be kept at around 1200 degrees Celsius, 500 degrees higher than necessary for making bronze. In order to keep the temperature high, air must be pumped into the furnace constantly. The team uses a bellows. They can't rest even for a moment. After 5 hours of working the bellows, they finally remove a single lump of iron. But when the lump is pounded to remove impurities, not much is left.
Kibrit kutusundan daha küçük birkaç küçük sıkıştırılmış demir elde edebildik. Eski insanların bir defa çok sabırlı olduğunu, çok emek verdiklerini anlıyoruz.
How did the Hittites manage to produce great quantities of iron? Omura has spent nearly his entire career trying to find the answer to that question. He's heading toward a steep, rocky, unobstructed mountain. It was once part of the land of the Hittites. Omura believes that this bleak natural environment contributed to the Hittites' iron production.
この辺は季節風がゴーッときますからね、もう怖くなるぐらいの風だから。
He says the Hittites likely made clever use of these blistering winds.
ここですよ。
Evidence of iron production remains in this cave on the slope of the mountain.
これがいわゆるカスだよね。鉄の生産する時に出てきた鉄カス。あ、これなんかすごいじゃん。ほら、ガラガラ出てる。こ こういうふうないわゆる風通しのいい場所を使って大量生産は行われた可能性は高いと思いますよね。
Omura believes that the Hittites used wind power to stoke their furnaces.
The ヒッタイトの町っていうのはほとんどが山際なんだよね。大王国のエジプトみたいなね、ナイル川の豊かな大地のところにあるわけじゃないわけ。普通の民族だったら住まないようなところに住むわけですよ。だからヒッタイトにとってはその地形が利用価値があったんだと思うんだよね。
Turning the harsh natural environment to their advantage, the Hittites were able to mass-produce iron, something no one else had done. Researchers believe that the Hittites used iron to make weapons. But they have also learned that they used it for an unexpected purpose. The wedge-shaped cuneiform characters they carved into clay tablets provide a clue. Over 30,000 of these tablets have been located, and many have been deciphered. In 2019, they led to a new discovery. It was a letter from a member of a royal family from this region, inscribed in the 18th century BC. The letter documents the royal family's offer of precious iron to another kingdom to strengthen ties.
Kendi tarafına çekmek istiyor. Bir ittifak kurmak istiyor veya ittifakın devamını sağlamak istiyor ve onun için bu adı geçen aşiyum demirini kullanmak istiyor. Hediye olarak kullan.
Iron was then 40 times more valuable than silver and 8 times more than gold. And the Hittites used it as a diplomatic bargaining chip. In addition to the powerful Egyptians, Assyria was a newly emerging threat. Records reveal the Hittites' diplomatic strategy. In response to the Assyrian king's request for iron, the Hittite ruler responded,
I have no high-quality iron right now. Until I do, I will send you the blade of an iron sword. When we finish making some iron of higher quality, I will send it to you.
Deftly dodging the Assyrians' demand for iron, the Hittites used a diplomatic ploy that implied they had some.
「常にその鉄を作って常に持ってるっていうことでヒッタイトは対外的には相手に対しては威圧する一つのね武器としてそれをちらつかせるだけでかなり意味あったんじゃないかなと思うんだよね。
Through tactical diplomacy, the Hittites succeeded in avoiding war with the Assyrians. They built a great nation on the desolate Anatolian plateau. But in the midst of their prosperity, a great crisis would befall them. In a bid to expand their territory, the powerful Egyptians attacked the Hittites. The Battle of Kadesh began. Ramesses II, considered the greatest of Egypt's kings, led an enormous army of 20,000 soldiers. The Hittites enlisted help from their allies. They built a force strong enough to withstand the Egyptians. They fought back using three-man chariots, which were revolutionary at the time. The Hittites repelled the Egyptians. Their territory was saved. The two empires then reached an agreement. They would treat each other as equals and never again meet on the battlefield. It is now the world's oldest peace treaty, which evidence still exists both in Turkey and Egypt. From its birthplace in Western Asia, iron was transported eastward through Central Eurasia, where the Scythians lived. At that point, the Iron Road split in two. The metal was still being developed into amazing weaponry, but it was also creating new opportunities for humankind. The Great Wall of China is the world's largest man-made structure. It once divided two empires that engaged in one of history's longest and fiercest conflicts. The Xiongnu to the north and the Han to the south. This immense grassland, extending as far as the eye can see, was ruled by the Xiongnu. Numerous artifacts have been found at these Xiongnu sites. Among them are highly evolved weapons made of iron.
За бид нар бол одоо энд хүнүүгийн одоо төмөр зэвний зарим төлөөллийг харж байна. Ер нь бол археологийн маслах судалгаанаас нэг 10 гаруй төрлийн зэв илэрсэн байдаг. Тэгэхээр өмнөх төр төмөр засгийн түрүү үеэс хүнүүгийн одоо энэ төмөр зэв, байлдааны зэвний одоо төрөл бол маш олон болсон. Тэгээд өмнөх үеэс бол технологийн талаас тэр цэрэг дайны хэрэглээний талаас бол бас их том дэвшил гарсан байдаг юм аа.
How powerful was this arrowhead? We made a replica to find out. It easily penetrated a copper plate as thick as the armor of that time, and then went through a slab of mutton. The source of this destructive force is its shape.
Энэ бол одоо энэ ихний энэ давхар нь бол яг ингэж цохох тийм ээ энэ гуйгаа нэвтлэх. Дараагийн энэ давхарх нь болохоор одоо цаатлынхаа хүнд тийм ээ амьтанд бол энэ хөргөн талбайгаар хохирол учруулах ийм зорилттой. Хүнүүгийн хөрш нь яг ийм адилхан зэв хизээ шихгүй. Дээр нь бол бас сумны зэв гэдэг бол ер нь угсаатны онцлогийг илэрхийлдэг. Тухайн угсаатныг таних ийм тэмдэг болдог байхгүй.
The Xiongnu's new weapon terrified their foes. One shot from a bow, even from a distance, could be fatal. The Xiongnu and the Han Dynasty clashed again and again over territory and crops. In 200 BC, a large-scale war broke out between the two sides. The Han were led by Gaozu, the dynasty's first emperor. King Modu Xiongnu led the Xiongnu. They attacked using their latest weapon, the iron arrowhead. The Han were overwhelmed. The Han Emperor was forced to send the Xiongnu huge sums in tribute every year, a humiliating turn of events. Over the years, the Xiongnu continued to menace the Han Dynasty with their overwhelming military power. Iron provided the Xiongnu with an unbeatable advantage. Recent archaeological findings have confirmed that the technology was indeed transported along the Iron Road.
強度の精通遺跡になります。
Researchers have uncovered an iron furnace with an interesting feature. It was placed underground in a hole dug into the earth.
隙台で作られてきたタイプの製鉄炉がここにあると。で、その鉄の技術というものがこういう炉の形も含めていますと西から伝播したものなら間違いないと思いますし、その原点としては黒海とかあるいはトルコの方につながっていくものだというふうには言えます。
This find revealed for the first time that the Iron Road indeed ran from Scythia to Xiongnu. In 2019, another great discovery was made. A huge palace was found in the middle of a plain. And nearby, a large-scale munitions factory that produced iron weapons. Archaeologists have excavated 12 iron furnaces at the site.
一つの炉で30とか40キロできてもおかしくないと思います。おそらくこの鉄の塊だけで矢尻が何百本とかが作れると思います。
Large numbers of weapons were produced at a factory under the king's direct supervision. That ensured that his troops were always prepared for war. The Xiongnu were an iron-based military state such as the world had never seen. The Han Dynasty was under constant threat. It too sought innovative ways to produce the most advanced iron weaponry. Remnants have been found here, in this village. There is something the villagers pray to.
因为呢，我们这个天牛县他就不懂啊，他是最保护我们天牛村的。
This huge chunk of iron weighs 2 tons. The villagers say it was produced during the Han Dynasty. In fact, the Han had acquired iron-making technology from the West earlier than the Xiongnu. The Han then developed their own unique way of producing iron. Murakami has explored this section of the Iron Road as well. He found a huge Han Dynasty-era iron furnace near Iron Ox Village.
これが畑の中に残された製鉄炉です。
It was a blast furnace, 4 meters tall. It could produce a large amount of iron in a single firing. But it had one serious drawback. The iron made in this furnace was brittle, not suitable for weapons. The Han people had to figure out how to make stronger iron.
この下にですね、画期的な炉が発見されまして、昇降炉であると。
Roasting furnaces were the key to innovation. The structure was simple. A hole around 80 centimeters in diameter was dug in the ground and covered with a lid. What kinds of secrets were hidden there? Researchers recreated the ancient production method. The iron was brittle because it contained too much carbon. Brittle iron is put into the roasting furnace. It's then heated at high temperatures, around 1200 degrees. Great volumes of air are blasted into the furnace. Then the carbon in the brittle iron bonds with the oxygen and is expelled. The technology for expelling carbon from iron produced in a blast furnace was a revolutionary invention that's still used today.
漢代に昇降炉が誕生したことによって強靭で強い鉄が大量に生産できるようになったのです。
Some 70 years after the first Han emperor was defeated by the Xiongnu, the 7th Han emperor Wu dispatched a large army to confront the enemy. This time, the Han soldiers were armed with powerful weapons produced in large quantities using strong iron. One of them was the long-handled spear with its distinctive long, thin blade. It was the latest weapon in the Han arsenal and could hook into or cut right through an enemy soldier. The spear was especially effective against the powerful Xiongnu cavalry. The Han army slowly turned the tide against its long-standing enemy. But the Xiongnu continued to put up a fierce resistance. The fighting dragged on endlessly. Iron had helped intensify the conflict. But at the same time, it also produced unprecedented prosperity. This village is in a mountainous area in China. A legendary iron tool that was widely employed during the Han Dynasty is still in use today.
这个就是叫硬锥花，里脊的硬锥花。
These plow blades are extremely effective. The strong iron produced by the Han Dynasty helped to dramatically improve the performance of agricultural tools. Iron plows transformed the lives of people whose land was otherwise not suitable for farming. They could quickly dig deep furrows into the hard ground.
这季节就是我们的铲土的根基的一个好处，就是一次过短，草就死了。现代化的一种嘛就给不死。老祖宗成名，老祖宗成名，我们才是跟他的仿照样样的才。
During the Han Dynasty, crop production quickly doubled as the amount of arable land expanded. It was an agricultural revolution forged by iron. The Iron Road opened up two very different paths. Iron unleashed unprecedented violence, but it also provided unheard of prosperity. And finally, the Iron Road reached Japan. It arrived during the Neolithic Yayoi period and greatly transformed Japanese society. The latest research has shown that the axe and chisel were among the most influential iron tools. Such tools enabled the construction of larger buildings and a dramatic expansion of settlements. Larger boats led to long-distance travel. Regions were connected, and Japanese people began trading with people on the Korean Peninsula and in China. The power of iron connected Japan with the world. Iron, the miracle metal that humans began producing over 4,000 years ago. It brought prosperity to ancient Eurasia and carved out the road of civilization, one that we now call the Iron Road.